is Jessica. I have recently done 6 weeks of the Thrive program for emetophobia. I'm here to tell you my story about the Thrive program and how it has basically cured my emetophobia. So here's my story. I was an emetophobia for over the last 30 years. It started in elementary school, I would say, where I would always be on the lookout for kids who were sick or looked like they didn't feel good or looked like they were going to get sick, to right up into the last 6 weeks. I'm now 33 years old, so over basically the last 30 years, I have been in fear of being out in public and seeing sick people. I have 3 kids, so over the last 11 years, when my daughter was born, the fear had intensified. So my 3-year-old son, I have 3 kids. I have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 3-year-old. My 3-year-old son was supposed to start preschool this year. Because of my emetophobia, I kept him home another year with me, which I didn't want to do, but my fears kept me back from allowing my son to join a preschool, which would be great for him. He could have his friends and he could learn so much, but my fears took over and I wouldn't allow him to start preschool. So when I made that decision, I also made the decision that this needs to stop. I can't live like this. I can't put my kids through this just because of my fears. So as soon as I made that decision to keep him home, I also made the decision that I need to do some research and get this fear out of my life. So I went online. I found therapies, exposure therapies. I found therapists. I found medications. And all of that stuff I did not want to do. I didn't want to be on medication to calm my anxiety down. I didn't want to see a therapist. I didn't want to join exposure therapy. So I came across the Thrive program, and I immediately emailed Rob. Rob directed me to a FaceTime consultant because I live in the U.S. I was nowhere near an actual consultant to meet in person, so he directed me to Fiona, who was my FaceTime consultant, and I was able to meet with her weekly. At first, Fiona told me to get the book, the Thrive book for emetophobia, and after the first 2 chapters, she would call me, we would talk, and we would get through this together over about a 6-week period. So I did just that. I got the book. I read through a chapter or 2. We met on the 2nd week after I emailed them, and we continued talking weekly from there. And it has changed my life dramatically. I went from going to the store, wiping down all the handles on the carts. I went from watching my kids walk through the door after school. I immediately made them change their clothes. I immediately made them wash their hands, hand sanitizers, wash into the hands where they would just bleed, to the point where now I have basically challenged myself to not do those things. I no longer wipe down the cart handles when I go to the grocery store. I no longer force my kids to wash their hands constantly or change their clothes because they are around someone who may have been sick. I have challenged myself. I have learned to stay positive. I have learned to cope with anxiety, with stress. I've learned to cope with my kids being sick. They have been sick recently. I think it was last week my daughter was sick. I got a call from the nurse. I had to go pick her up from school. She was pale. She was not feeling well. I picked her up from school. I dealt with it. I got through it. I was fine. I can deal with it. I've learned to cope with my fears, and to the point where the thought of vomiting, the thought of feeling sick, it doesn't even bother me. I've learned to, when I start feeling anxious or I have anxiety or I have stress, because we own a business, stress is bound to happen, and especially with 3 kids, I've learned how to basically stay positive and work my way through the stress. And so the book helped my emetophobia. I'm fine with emetophobia now. I'm not fearful of that whatsoever. I'm still working on my anxiety and stress because I live a stressful daily day-to-day life with owning a business and my kids. But this Thrive program has basically taught me how to cope with everyday life as well as my emetophobia. So the book is good for both things. I could suggest it to my friends who have fears, my friends who have anxiety, my friends who can't cope with stress very well, who have depression. The book all around was amazing. Fiona, my FaceTime consultant, was amazing, and I am very, very thankful for her, for Rob, and most of all, I'm very, very, very proud of myself for taking the step and going through the program. I'm still going to continue to read through the book and work over the next few weeks on maybe my anxiety, my stress, but overall my fear is gone. My fear of my fear of vomiting, my emetophobia, it is gone. So I no longer have to worry about that in life. But over the next few weeks, I can work on my anxiety, which I feel is simple compared to my emetophobia. So I am so forever thankful for Rob, for Fiona, and very, very, very proud of myself for taking a step and doing what I needed to do to basically thrive through life. So thank you, Rob Kelly and Fiona, and thank you.